All right, let's talk about the Ohio State Buckeyes. Look, with all the news involving that team up north, it looks like Ohio State is once again situated to potentially, most likely in this case, return back to the college football playoff if they take care of business, especially involving the defensive side of the ball. That's what's held them back the past couple of years. And it looks like the Ohio State Buckeyes coaching staff is making kind of an under-the-radar smart move. And we've got a great report to highlight just that. Mize, if you throw up the report, I will read from it. This is according to Buckeyes Now. The Buckeyes have been truly elite in 2023, particularly where it matters most, keeping opponents out of the end zone. And they have done so in large part by staying true to the scheme and keeping it simple rather than going after the big play. They have been especially strong in their biggest games as well, most notably against Notre Dame, Penn State, and Wisconsin, where they held those three opponents to an average of 12 points per contest. Gearing toward the matchup games, and we've had a couple of them already where we were not successful last year, mainly because of explosive plays, defensive coordinator Knowles said. Through a lot of studying, a lot of planning, you're seeing the benefit of that now. The Buckeyes will hope to keep up their elite defensive effort through the season's final two games, culminating in, of course, our November 25th matchup against the Michigan Wolverines. So you can see from Knowles' comments, and we can see some other comments throughout the course of the season, that the Buckeyes defense has been, at least in terms of intention and strategy and tactics, going away from the big play, which of course would be the interceptions, the sacks, and things like that, and focusing more on playing good, fundamentally sound defense. And look, the stats back it up. If you look at last season, they finished up the season. Ohio State did fourth in the Big Ten in sacks, and they had 10 interceptions this season. Right now, they're on pace to finish 12th in sacks, and right now they only have 6 picks. So it's clear there's been a definite shift in terms of strategy on the defensive side of the ball. It's worked out well so far. Of course, you have the big matchups, 14 points against Notre Dame, 12 points against Penn State, and that was with the late Penn State score. It's clear in the big games the Ohio State defense is playing better. Of course, the only thing that really matters is how they play against Michigan in a couple weeks. But I think right now what we're seeing is a smart move come to light for the Ohio State Buckeyes defense. Miles, I'm curious what your thoughts are on this. But before I hand it over to you, Buckeyes fans, look, big news, of course, coming out this week that Coach Harbaugh for Michigan will not be coaching on the sideline against your Ohio State Buckeyes. Let us know how you feel about that in the comment section below. Would you rather be Harbaugh on the sideline? Are you glad he's suspended? Curious what your thoughts are on this issue. Make sure you put them in the comment section below. But Miles, what do you think of Ohio State in terms of their defensive strategy, change and just everything going on with this defense right now?
Yeah, I think it's really interesting because you look at the landscape of college football and it's kind of changed over the last 10 or 15 years or so. I think that we're in an era where a one-loss team, and it's so hard to get into the college football playoff. Obviously, we'll be getting out of that here pretty soon. But in today's game, the game they're trying to go to the college football this year, one loss is almost like a death sentence. You got to wait for somebody else to screw up because there's 5 undefeated teams now going into college ball. The last 2 games of the season, they're probably going to be there when it's all said and done. But this is a team that has figured it out. They've got the formula and said, hey, is it worth trying to get the sack, trying to jump the route for the interception and potentially letting up a big play? Or do we let them, get 2-3 yards, 5 yards here or there, make them earn every single yard and see if we can get stops on 3rd and 4th down? I think that is the way to win in today's college football. Now, I think we might see a shift when it gets to a bigger college football playoff. And if you have a loss here or there, it's not going to be as crucial. But with that one loss being pretty much keeping you out of college football playoff nowadays, this is the way to play it, and I'm really excited to see this Ohio State team because now they have it figured out. They know their game plan. I really haven't seen too many other teams doing it the way that they've been doing it, Nick.
Yeah, because one of the things, and I think this is the biggest lesson from the Alabama and now Georgia dynasties in the SEC, people talk about how great their defenses were, and at times they're extremely dominant. But if you watch them play, they're not hyper aggressive. They're not hyper complicated. They're not doing all kinds of funky blitzes or funky schemes or anything like that. They kind of just line up and play, and they know they have the elite level talent, and they make opposing offenses work for every yard, like you alluded to. Ohio State really should be doing that, and they do that at times. But I do think the past couple seasons, really the past 3, 4, 5 seasons, to be honest, because of the incredible amount of talent that they have both in the front 7 and in the secondary, that I think the Ohio State defense has been like, hey, let's do an aggressive blitz schemes, try and generate one-on-one matchups, and let the Bosas or the Chase Youngs of the world wreak absolute havoc and have a five-sack game. Hey, let's play man-on-man corners on the outside and let one of our great corners, jump around and get a big-time pick 6. it works okay when you have just an overwhelming amount of talent, but in the big games, right? You look at Michigan last year, you look at Georgia in the college football playoff. They really just didn't have the ability to play those complex, aggressive coverages and keep a quality football team, Michigan and Georgia in that case, from going up and down the field against them and generating all kinds of big plays against them. And I think the smart thing to do when you have as much talent as Ohio State does is to sit back 90% of the time, rush 4, play zone, keep things in front of you, make them go 15 plays, 75 yards. Very few teams will be able to. In fact, I would argue almost nobody can because of Ohio State's level of talent. And then even if they do go all the way, you turn it over to your offense and you got Marvin Harrison Jr. and a lot of great playmakers. So you can make that up in a heartbeat as well on the offensive side of the ball. So I think just the smart strategy here of understanding, hey, look, we've got a lot of talent. We've got an incredible level of talent on the defensive side of the ball. Let's not put our guys in bad positions. Let's give ourselves as many chances as possible to make a big play. Let's not go all out and be hyper aggressive and give up a 70-yard touchdown run or give up 2 big pass completions. I remember going back to the first half of last year's Michigan game. I felt Ohio State was going to dominate that game the way it was starting off. They had a couple coverage busts. They gave up 2 big passing plays, and then the game just completely flipped. Let's stop that from happening, right? Let's play a cover 2 zone. Let's play a cover 3 zone. Let's play man 2 deep, right? And let our front 4 do what it does. Let our guys tackle in space and force the other team to make plays. It worked against Notre Dame. And guess what? The Ohio State defense made plays when it mattered most. It worked against Penn State. They dominated the Nittany Lions. I think this is the strategy for Ohio State going forward. And credit to Coach Knowles for finally understanding this is what he needs to do. And if they keep this up, I think they have a great chance to beat Michigan in the coming weeks and carry that into the college football playoff.